Hello everyone, my name is Stephanie Searles and this is my week 2 discussion post for MPA 560. This week I'll be covering the Gun Violence Reduction Program, which is a program under the California Department of Justice. The program aims to support eligible local law enforcement agencies in conducting activities related to things like the seizure of weapons and other items such as, let's say ammunition from people who are prohibited from possessing either of them. Many of these efforts stem from the information received from the department's Armed Prohibited Persons system, and the program has a budget of $11 million and is scheduled to run for 18 months starting in June of this year. In 2019, nearly 3,000 Californians died by gun violence, which turns out to be an average of 8 people every single day. Of those, suicides were 54% of the gun deaths and homicides were 42%. In that same year, there were 1,246 firearm homicides. That included 171 children and teens. Additionally, there were 1,586 firearm suicides in 2019, including 54 children as well as teens. This accounted to over a third of all suicides reported in the state. Breaking down the statistics in terms of demographics, 86% of firearm homicide victims are male, and Black males are disproportionately impacted. Black males aged 15 through 34 have a firearm homicide rate that's 16 times higher than white, non-Latino males of the same age group. California issued 3,007 gun violence restraining orders from 2016 to 2020. In 2020, the state issued 1,284 restraining orders, which is 15 times greater than the 85 issued in 2016. Gun control efforts so far in the state have significantly helped deal with the issue of gun violence. Since early 1990s, California cut its gun death rate in half. Nonetheless, the issue is still an epidemic across the nation, and more efforts need to be put in place to reduce the deaths as much as possible. To evaluate the program, the following research questions will be used. Does the seizure of weapons and ammunition from persons who are prohibited from possessing them through the Gun Violence Reduction Program help reduce the number of firearm homicides in the state of California? The second question is, does the seizure of weapons or ammunition from persons who are prohibited from possessing them through the Gun Violence Reduction Program help reduce the number of firearm-related suicide rate in the state of California? From these questions, the following variables can be obtained. The first variable is the independent variable, which is seizure of weapons and ammunition from persons who are prohibited from possessing them. And in this case, the dependent variable is nominal. This category can be explained by whether the program managed to or did not manage to make any seizures of weapons or ammunition from the persons who are prohibited from using them. The independent variable can be defined as repossession or recovery of weapons or ammunition from people who are not recognized as legal gun holders or who are revoked from possessing firearms as per the Armed Prohibited Persons system. The second variable is homicide rates, which is also a ratio variable. Homicide rates can be defined as the number of units of deliberate killings by secondary parties per 100,000 individuals per year. The last dependent variable is suicide rates, which is also a ratio and can be defined as the number of deaths per 100,000 people per year, which is deliberately initiated and performed by a person in the full knowledge or expectation of its fatal outcome. That concludes this week's discussion post. I hope that you are all having a great weekend. Thank you for looking.